The jungle vibrates with distant gunfire, each shot swallowed by the dense canopy. Tua Yang, bloodied and limping, crashes through the undergrowth, his breath ragged, his vision blurred. Vines and branches claw at him, but he pushes forward, driven by sheer will. Breaking into a terraced rice field, he stumbles, collapsing into the damp earth as early morning mist curls around him. The amulet at his neck, now scarred with bullet holes, glints weakly in the dim light, a fragile link between life and death. Not far away, Nali Vang freezes, her fingers tightening around a woven basket of herbs. Her heartbeat echoes in her ears as her grandmother's words resurface. To save a life is to weave your soul into theirs. She exhales, stepping forward. Whispers of the Montane. Beneath Nali's stilt house, Tua wakes to the sharp scent of crushed herbs. The cellar is dim, the air thick with age. Above, wooden beams groan under shifting footsteps. Against the walls, ancestral Kie instruments stand in silent vigil, their faded carvings whispering of lost rituals. A flickering oil lamp casts restless shadows as Nali kneels beside him, her hands steady, her gaze unreadable. The night hums beyond the walls, but the past lingers here, in this hidden space, waiting, unspoken, in the hush between them. Nali grinds leaves and roots in a stone mortar, the rhythmic crush of pestle against rock filling the dim space. Her fingers, stained deep green with Hmong medicine, work with practiced precision. The scent of earth and bitterness clings to the air. Beside her, a copper bowl holds Tua's blood-soaked bandages, the water turning a murky crimson. The swirling tendrils of blood unfurl like ghosts of fallen warriors, whispering of battles fought and lives nearly lost. Nali exhales, steadying her hands. This fight is not over yet. By the flickering candlelight, Tua runs his fingers over the intricate embroidery of a ntaub, depicting tigers, stars, and warriors woven in quiet defiance. Each stitch tells a story, and each thread binds the past to the present. Across from him, Nali's voice barely rises above a whisper. My husband died defending this village. The weight of her words hangs heavy in the air, filled with both grief and expectation. Their gazes meet, and the silence stretches between them. Then, steady and unyielding, she speaks again. Now it is your turn. Festival fires flicker, casting a warm golden light across the village square. Silver jewelry shimmers as elders chant KWVTXHIAJ, their voices rising and falling like the wind through the ancient mountains. Before the fire's glow, Nali sits still, her breath catching as Tua's calloused fingers carefully weave indigo thread into her hair. Each movement is deliberate, and each knot represents a silent vow. No words are spoken, only the unbroken thread between them, a courtship ritual older than war, binding the past and future in quiet devotion. A wrinkled hand scatters burning native papers into a clay pot, the edges curling into embers. Smoke rises in twisting coils, shifting and writhing, until a serpent takes shape, its ghostly form lingering in the dim firelight. The village shaman, his eyes sharp as a hawk's, watches the smoke with quiet intensity before turning his gaze to Tua. Your spirit walks two worlds, he murmurs, his voice low and heavy with understanding. The fire crackles, casting long shadows. The war is not done with you. Deep in a moss-covered cave, Tua kneels over a rusted CIA radio, his fingers hovering over the dials as static crackles through the damp air. Each hiss and pop feels like a ghost's whisper, a relic of a war that refuses to be forgotten. Beside him, Nali clutches a flickering lantern, its glow casting restless shadows along the cave walls. The light reveals faded petroglyphs, ancient stories etched in stone, that are now defaced by fresh Viet Cong graffiti, scrawled like a curse upon history. The past and present collide in this hidden place, and in the silence between the static, Tua wonders which war he is truly fighting. Water crashes over their shoulders, cold and relentless. Tua and Nali stand beneath the waterfall, fully clothed, with their foreheads pressed together as their breaths mingle in the mist. Moonlight filters through the cascading veil, turning their scars into silver constellations, stories of survival etched across their skin. For a fleeting moment, the world comes to a standstill, enveloped in the hush of the rushing water. Then, from a distance, the low roar of a bomber rumbles through the night, a haunting reminder of war shattering their fragile peace. Tua's grip tightens, the past is never far behind. Golden opium poppies sway gently in the wind, their delicate petals betraying no sign of the danger lurking beneath them. Nali and the village women crouch low in the shadows, their fingers tightening around bamboo spears, knuckles white with determination. The fading sun casts long shadows as Viet Cong soldiers march past, rifles slung across their shoulders, their boots pressing into the earth with eerie finality. Not a breath is drawn. Not a sound escapes. The poppies dance in the breeze, oblivious to the war that unfolds around them. A CIA helicopter hovers low above the village, its rotor blades slicing through the air with a deafening roar. Dust and ash swirl around, whipping Nali's skirt around her legs as Tua clutches the ntaub, its embroidered tigers and warriors fluttering in the wind. The pilot leans out, waving his arms frantically, one seat left. His voice barely cuts through the chaos. Tua turns to Nali, desperation in his eyes. But her expression hardens, her jaw is set, and her gaze unwavering. The war has already taken too much from them. She won't leave. Nali dips a sharpened bamboo arrow into a bowl of dark, lethal shui txiv, the poison thick as ink. The liquid clings to the tip, gleaming under the dim light. A single drop falls, breaking the stillness of a puddle at her feet. The ripples distort Tua's reflection, his eyes shadowed, his machete catching the moonlight like a silent promise. No words are spoken. In the hush between breaths, war and fate intertwine, death waiting at the edge of a blade, the pull of a bowstring. Nali dips a sharpened bamboo arrow into a bowl of dark, lethal shui txiv, the poison thick as ink. The liquid clings to the tip, gleaming under the dim light. A single drop falls, breaking the stillness of a puddle at her feet. The ripples distort Tua's reflection, his eyes shadowed, and his machete catches the moonlight like a silent promise. No words are spoken. In the hush between breaths, war and fate intertwine, death waiting at the edge of a blade, the tension of a drawn bowstring. Flames consume the village, their glow transforming the night into a hellscape of smoke and embers. Tua grips a rifle, his knuckles white with tension. Beside him, Nali clutches a sickle, its curved blade shimmering in the firelight. Back to back, they stand as the shaman's hut collapses, sending sparks flying into the sky. The sound of melting kie instruments rises with the heat, warped and mournful, like ghosts wailing for a world that has been undone. Ash clings to their skin, but neither flinches. The past burns around them, but the fight isn't over. Not yet. By the dim glow of a single candle, Tua and Nali stand in silence, their eyes tracing the ancient cave paintings, spirits swirling like mist, warriors locked in eternal battle, and a lone figure standing atop a mountain, watching over it all. Beside them, dust-covered CIA crates stamped with 1965 sit untouched, relics of a war that never truly ended. On the rock before them, a child's handprint, dried in old blood, lingers like a ghostly signature of the past. The flame flickers, and the cave whispers. Some stories refuse to fade. A needle glides through fabric, each stitch deliberate, connecting the past and present. Nali mends Tua's torn uniform, her fingers weaving ntaub patterns into the worn cloth, symbols of strength, protection, and unspoken promises. His hand rests atop hers, rough yet gentle. Their eyes meet for a brief moment, the war temporarily forgotten. Outside, the distant rumble of mortars echoes through the night, but Tua's heartbeat remains steady. In the quiet between explosions, something fragile yet unyielding takes shape, not stitched in fabric, but in fate. Tua limps through the flute dance, his injured leg wrapped in herbal bandages. Each step is careful, his movements driven by both pain and tradition. The haunting melody of the flute drifts through the village, a song of longing and remembrance. From the shadows, Nali clutches her late husband's silver necklace, her fingers tightening around the worn metal. The weight of memory hangs heavy in the air, as dense as smoke. The elders whisper, their voices hushed yet certain. The dead are watching. A dark alley, thick with a stench of damp earth and fear. A trembling villager reaches out, hands unsteady, and slips a silver bracelet into the palm of a Viet Cong officer. The metal glints in the dim light, a desperate bribe, a silent plea. The officer weighs the bracelet in his hand, his expression unreadable. Behind them, a flickering lantern sputters, its glow stretching across the cracked wall. A shadow takes shape, the sinuous form of a tiger, its silhouette rippling with flame. It watches and waits. The deal is struck, but the jungle has its own brand of justice. Tua shivers as his body burns with fever, sweat trickling down his brow. His breath is shallow, and his strength slips away like water through his fingers. Beside him, Nali hums a soft *KWVTXHIAJ song, her voice barely rising above the storm. She brushes her fingertips gently against his cracked lips, offering silent comfort and presence. Outside, the monsoon rain pours relentlessly, drumming against the earth and drowning out all sounds except for the wind and thunder. Yet beneath the storm's roar, another sound grows closer, steady boots approaching. The war does not wait for the fever to break. In the jungle's shadowed embrace, Tua works swiftly, his fingers steady as he wraps grenades in delicate opium petals, beauty masking destruction. One by one, he places them along the narrow path, their hidden danger waiting in silence. Nearby, Nali watches, her face streaked with ash, her breath shallow but resolute. The war has left no room for hesitation. She steps close, pressing a final, fleeting kiss to his cheek, warmth against the cold edge of fate. Then, without a word, she vanishes into the mist, leaving only the faint scent of smoke and poppies in her wake. Tua lifts the bullet-pierced amulet, its once polished surface now scarred by war, and fastens it around Nali's neck. His hands linger for a moment as if willing the metal to shield her from what's to come. Her fingers trace the embroidered ntaub tiger on her chest, feeling each stitch, symbols of strength and protection, a silent promise, an unspoken farewell. Their eyes meet, words unnecessary. The war will not wait, but in this fleeting moment, something unbreakable binds them together, past, present, and whatever future remains. Fire rages through the opium fields, consuming the golden poppies in a violent dance of red and orange. Smoke coils into the sky, thick and suffocating, and the air is heavy with the scent of burning earth and war. In the heart of the inferno, Nali stands motionless, her eyes reflecting the blaze. There is no fear, no hesitation, only the weight of choices made, of paths now set in fire and fate. Nearby, Tua steadies his grip, his breath measured. One last bullet, one final chance. He exhales and fires, the gunshot cracking through the chaos. The Viet Cong fuel truck erupts into an explosion of fire and steel, the jungle trembling as war claims another moment, another life. In a quiet Minnesota home, an elderly Hmong woman carefully unfolds the ntaub, her weathered hands tracing its intricate stitches. The fabric is soft yet heavy with memory, sent anonymously, carrying whispers of a past she cannot escape. Before her, the tapestry reveals its story. A soldier and a widow, their hands entwined atop a mountain, bound by fate, by war, by something beyond time. Her breath trembles. Silent tears slip down her cheeks, soaking into the fabric as if the threads themselves remember. Some stories never end, they are stitched into the heart, waiting to be found. Present day. In the heart of the Annamite Mountains, a hiker pauses, the humid air thick with the scent of moss and earth. Something glints beneath the dirt, a rusted amulet, weathered by time, its surface scarred with bullet holes. As they lift it, the jungle mist swirls, shifting like breath exhaled from the past. For a fleeting moment, faint silhouettes emerge. Tua and Nali, walking side by side, disappearing into the endless green. The hiker blinks, the vision already fading. Only the amulet remains, warm in their palm, carrying a story that refuses to be forgotten. The village is nothing but ashes, its ruins whispering of what once was. Charred beams jut from the earth like the ribs of a fallen giant, the air still thick with the scent of smoke and loss. Amidst the wreckage, Nali's abandoned loom stands untouched, a half-finished ntaub still threaded, its patterns frozen in time, unspoken prayers left incomplete. Beside it, a single poppy sways in the breeze, its delicate petals tinged with indigo, as if the earth itself remembers her hands, her craft, her fight. Even in destruction, something lingers. A stitch, a flower, a story not yet finished. Tua and Nali step into the river, the cold water rising past their waists, pulling them deeper with each slow step. The current hums around them, a quiet song of things lost, of things waiting to be found. Above the rustling trees, the shaman's voice drifts through the wind, neither near nor far. To weave your souls together, you must drown the war. Their fingers tighten, hand in hand, a silent vow. Then, without hesitation, they sink, swallowed by the river's embrace, the past dissolving into the depths. A Hmong child kneels on a remote Laotian hillside, small hands pressing poppy seeds into the earth. Beneath the soil, an old CIA crate lies buried, its secrets long forgotten, reclaimed by time. The camera pulls back, and the landscape unfolds. A vast mountain face looms above, its surface etched with ancient petroglyphs. But among the time-worn figures of spirits and warriors, something new has been carved, a soldier and a widow, their hands clasped in eternity, bound not by war, but by something deeper, something unbreakable. The wind stirs. The seeds take root. Their story lives on.